slipped from her hands and spilled into the dust. She listened. Nothing, only the pounding of her own heart. Then again, the cry was faint, but clear enough to raise the hairs on her skin. She stood slowly. Who left their child outside? No answer. She took a step forward. Another cry, this one longer, sadder. Bella's chest tightened. Without thinking, she picked up her lantern and walked toward the path. Across the village, other doors creaked open. Faces appeared in the dark. An old man stepped out with a machete. A mother clutched her wrapper to her chest. Children peered from behind their parents' legs. The cry echoed again, now louder, but impossible to place. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Soon, villagers gathered in the square, holding lanterns and fear in equal measure. Pa Isa, the oldest man in Umuaka, leaned on his carved walking stick and tilted his head. He was known for hearing things. Others missed footsteps before arrival, lies before confession, thunder before clouds. He listened carefully. The cry came again. His face hardened. That is not from any compound, he said. A hush fell over the crowd. He pointed toward the darkness beyond the last row of huts. That is from the forest. The women gasped. One man laughed nervously. Maybe some traveler abandoned a child there. But no one believed him, because every person in Umuaka knew the stories. The forest was not just trees and animals. It was old ground, ground where ancestors once buried forbidden things. Ground where people disappeared. Ground where voices called names no human mouth had spoken. Then Mamakai stepped forward. She was small, wrinkled, and bent with age, but no one interrupted her when she spoke. She was midwife, herbalist, and keeper of stories too dangerous for daylight. Her milky eyes stared into the dark. That cry carries no life, she whispered. The villagers leaned closer. It carries intention. At once, the wind rose. Lantern flames shook violently. The trees groaned. The cry moved from the left, then behind them, then above them. Children screamed. Women rushed back toward their homes. Men who had boasted all evening suddenly remembered urgent reasons to leave. One by one, courage scattered. Within minutes, the square emptied. Doors slammed. Bolts locked. Prayers began behind walls, but Bella did not move. She stood alone at the edge of the village, staring into the forest as tears slipped down her cheeks. Because beneath the fear, beneath the unnatural cold, beneath the warnings of old people and the panic of neighbors, she heard something else in that cry. Need. Real need. The kind no spirit could fake. The kind only a mother recognizes. The crying continued, sometimes close enough to touch, sometimes distant as memory. It rose and fell until midnight, then softened into weak sobs. Bella sat outside her door, wrapped in a shawl, unable to sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined a tiny face wet with tears, tiny hands reaching, tiny lips trembling from hunger. By the 3rd hour of night, guilt had joined fear. What if it truly was a child? What if everyone hid while a baby suffered alone in the cold? She stood again. Her feet carried her 3 steps toward the forest before terror stopped her. The darkness beyond the trees looked thicker than ordinary night. alive somehow, watching. The cry came once more. Very faint now. Bella's breath caught. Then silence. No wind. No insects. No cry. Nothing. And somehow the silence was worse. Bella did not sleep. She sat waiting for first light, her eyes fixed on the path. When dawn finally crept over Umuaka, it found her exactly where the night had left her, exhausted, cold, changed, because some sounds do not fade when they end. They remain inside the listener. And in that pale morning light, Bella made a decision she did not yet understand. If the cry returned, she would follow it, even if it led beyond the river, even if it led into the shadows, even if it led to the truth the village had buried long ago. Far inside the forest, beneath the giant Iroko tree, the white cloth bundle stirred. A tiny hand slipped free, and two glowing eyes opened in the dark. Morning did not bring peace. It brought questions. The sun rose over Umuaka, but its light felt weak, as if even daylight feared what had happened in the night. Smoke climbed lazily from kitchen fires, yet no one gossiped at the wells. Children who usually ran through the paths stayed close to their mothers. Even the palm wine shed stood nearly empty.
I heard there was a ghost cry here. Who heard this cry? Speak up.